youths must start now, CMO, Region 1 Police facing challenges navigating terrain, and Region 5 RDC calls on Education Department to address violence in schools. Now for the news in detail. President Dr. Irfan Ali, who attended the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda this week, said member states need stability and bold, innovative and visionary thinking, qualities that have been shown through the leadership of incoming chair, Rwandan President Paul Kagame, and re-elected Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland. The Guyanese head of state joined officials at a closing press conference today in Kigali. According to President Ali, such needed leadership is present within the Commonwealth to navigate its 54 members, especially 32 small states, through difficult paths in addressing pressing issues such as global crisis and insecurities in areas of food, energy, climate change, and inequalities. Let's have a look.
I think President Kagame coming in at this time as chair would help greatly the Commonwealth family to navigate through this path, and with the SG bringing that stability and pushing those programs, I think we have an excellent opportunity to confront these challenges. And I said to President Kagame a few moments ago that many times the developing world would look to the developed world for answers and best practices. What Rwanda has shown the developing world is that we can have the answer among ourselves and within ourselves too. And it is this type of leadership and example by doing that is required in creating some of the changing circumstances that is so critically needed. So having a chair that brings that experience in a practical way, I think allows us to have something that is functional, direct, and creative in dealing with the challenges that we'll confront. I want to congratulate the President, His Excellency, and the people of Rwanda for an exceptional conference, and to say that your hard work in building this country, building this city, was on show.
With a team from the Islamic Development Bank currently in the country to discuss the LINDEN-SOESDYKE Highway Upgrade Project, the Guyana government is hoping to get approval for the US $120 million project by September so that works can commence soon. More in this report.
A team is present in Guyana from the Islamic Development Bank, working with their counterparts at the Ministry of Public Works and the Ministry of Finance on the Soesdijk to Linden Road. That project we anticipate being approved in September of this year, which will see the Linden to Soesdijk Highway, Soesdijk to Linden Highway, subject to a major upgrade.
That was Senior Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh speaking at an event recently. The visiting delegation from the Islamic Development Bank met with local officials led by Public Works Minister Juan Edgel on Wednesday. During the meeting, the Public Works Minister reiterated the importance of the LINDEN-SOESDYKE Highway project and assured the ISDB team that there is already an accountability system in place to ensure this project is executed efficiently. Government is looking to obtain a $120 million loan from the bank to execute upgrades to the Linden-SOESDYKE Highway, which is the main road link that connects Guyana's coastland to the mining town of Linden and the country's interior regions. Last weekend, Minister Edgel disclosed that government is expected to wrap up financing for the highway project soon. He had also disclosed that design of the project features two roundabouts at both ends of the highway, at the Soesdijk Junction and at the Millie's Hideout Junction in Linden. Government had previously said it wanted to start rehabilitation works along the 72-kilometer-long road before the end of the year. These works include paving the highway from the Soesdijk Junction all the way into Linden. Luana McAllister for the Evening News.
Increased drug use in schools and the possibility of students developing lifelong drug abuse habits can only cease if authorities implement stringent measures to prevent this scourge from spiraling out of control. Find out more in this Rupert Sinarine report.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Narayan Singh shared these sentiments on the observance of International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking on Friday. According to him, issues that have caught the attention of authorities in recent time has been the use of drugs in school and increased alcohol abuse and smoking among the younger population.
We recognize the problem with drug abuse in the schools is increasing, and we need to tackle it. And it's not saying it's bad, but it's an increasing problem. Every day we hear about different students are actually getting involved with drug use. And it's an opportunity for us to work with the school clubs. The students are here. You are going to be our ambassadors. You can be one, because a lot of the things starts in the school, and then later on in adult life, we see the full picture of this. The genesis was in the school system.
The Pan American Health Organization and other bodies have been working with the ministry in addressing this subject. The Education Ministry has also been engaged on reaching into the school population and targeting adolescents involved in such practices, and also to spread awareness. The CMO pointed out that very often alcohol is dismissed as a matter of drug. However, there is a strong connection between drug abuse and mental health.
A lot of time we dismiss alcohol as not a drug, because it's one of the oldest drug known to man, and sometimes we dismiss it as something social and acceptable. But alcohol abuse is happening, and not only the health effects, but also the social and economic impact it have on its abuse.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy pointed out that in many nations, drug addiction and trafficking have a plethora of negative effects. The U.S. government has announced continued support in handling some of these issues in Guyana.
As we know from experience, the effects of drug addiction and drug trafficking are almost too numerous to list. We know of, for example, the health implications, the cost to the economy, the impact to security in our neighborhoods. These are all topics that demand deeper attention and discussion. And the United States is right here with you and with the government of Guyana in tackling some of these issues.
Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Interventions to mitigate flooding across several regions in the country will be activated simultaneously with the delivery of relief supplies to alleviate the suffering of affected residents. This was the position taken by Public Works Minister Juan Edgil as he engaged residents of Spiteland Region 10 this week. Let's have a look.
Based on reports, Spiteland, Rockstone, Kwakwani, and Landersville have experienced unusually larger volumes of water within Region 10. However, water from the Demerara, Purpose, and Essequibo rivers are rising above normal, adding to the devastation in the country.
What we see happening now is that there is flooding in the highland and the hinterland regions, especially with the rivers swelling to heights that we did not see before. For example, the report in the Borbice River is that the river is actually swollen 2 feet higher than normal levels. Now here in the Demerara, as well as the Essequibo River, which is where Rockstone is affected, the waters have also swollen. So we have to look at bringing relief to people who live in these areas that are affected, and then at the same time we have to look at the engineering and other interventions that will eliminate or alleviate some of these circumstances that people don't have to continue to go through the suffering.
Emergency procurement for contractors have been undertaken, and works to the tune of $8 million will be carried out in Spiteland to combat the flooding situation. This project will commence by next weekend. Additionally, there are plans to upgrade the roads throughout Spiteland in excess of $40 million in the coming weeks.
Through the Ministry of Agriculture, Drainage and Irrigation Program, contracts were awarded to communities. Spikeland is one of those communities that got a contract through the CDC to do your own drainage work to ensure that households and so on are adequately preserved because we have the water flowing. I have seen evidence since I came of work being done, and that is a good thing.
Meanwhile, flood relief supplies have been sent out to several regions countrywide. Government, through the Civil Defense Commission, has disseminated over 700 food and cleaning supplies, along with several other relief items within the past 2 weeks. Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Coming up on the other side of the break, Region 1 police facing challenges in navigating terrain. Please stay tuned.
Try our virtual sports and win big with so much matches to choose from. Betting starts at $100. Play for your chance to win. Log on to www.superbet.gy or visit any one of our agents to place your bets. Terms and conditions apply. Have fun and play responsibly. Must be 18 and over to play.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store, located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rheinveld.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. We now tell you that police in Region 1 are currently facing several challenges in getting to interior locations in a timely manner due to the rough terrain in the Burima-Waini region being difficult for them to navigate. Amar Prasad has the details.
This was highlighted by Commander of Regional Division 1 Superintendent Himnot Saw on a recent episode of the Police and You program. He related that in some cases, the rough terrain in the division is coupled with inclement weather, which makes it even more difficult for the ranks to navigate.
Some of the challenges that the police oftentimes will have to face, particularly when navigating interior locations, of which Region 1 is one. Now, to get to Morawana, Imbutiro, and Tamaki required us to travel by boat. And then, of course, you do appreciate the inclement weather and how challenging that in and of itself can pose in our mobility from the various communities or within the various communities.
According to the commander, even with the necessary equipment and resources, it is difficult to get to these locations in a timely manner. As such, Commander Saw is now pleading to citizens to bear with the police through the lengthy periods they may have to arrive at some scenes.
Special vehicles. At certain terrains, you have to use the ATV bikes. Other terrains required not just pickups, but four-wheel pickup with the capacity to go through the undulations of the trails. Some vehicles, and as you did see for yourself yesterday, could not have actually made it throughout the journey. And I want the people to understand that even though a report might be made at the station, the time it may take to be investigated should not necessarily reflect on police complacency, but rather the challenges that we, the police, sometimes have to face. Because even though we have vehicles, not all the time will the weather condition or the terrain itself afford us to get to scenes of crimes in an expeditious manner.
Commander Saw further noted that despite these challenges, the police will make it to the crime scenes or areas where reports were made, even without the required resources under their belt.
Those locations where crimes are reported that requires our immediate response. If we do a SWOT analysis, examining our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats, and we recognize that our existing resources cannot get us to those locations, then we have the access of contracting the services of providers that can actually get to those locations. And that way, we get to deal with all reports of crimes. So gone are the days when police will respond by saying, oh, we don't have a vehicle, or we don't have the means of getting to investigate your crime. No, I'm telling you as commander, the posture of the Guyana Police Force is designed now to ensure that resources are provided.
Amar Prasad.
In keeping with its 31st anniversary, the Food for the Poor Guyana Inc. held its largest distribution outreach yet. It saw over 800 persons benefiting from a wide range of items. Shane Marks tells us more.
Persons from North Rumfeldt, Sophia, and Georgetown on Saturday, amassing to over 800 persons, have benefited from a Food for the Poor distribution outreach held at its Blue Mountain Road Festival City location. Items such as rice, flour, canned goods, hand sanitizer, and disinfecting wipes were distributed. In addition, face masks and personal care items were also handed out to persons. Food for the Poor Guyana Inc. celebrated its 31st anniversary on Friday evening with a dinner reception where Chairman of the Board of Directors, Paul Chanasu, said that the non-profit organization will be working on extending its charity to persons in the interland community. This is stated is a work in progress.
We are going to be moving to Region 1, and we will be working with people there. We've already spoken to the Chief Executive Officer, I think that's the name, or the Chairman, for a space. And then the idea is to build a storage area there, and from there distribute in that area.
Shane Marks, The Evening News.
The Regional Democratic Council of Region 5 has called on the Regional Educational Department to address escalating violence in schools. Andrew Carmichael reports that the call was made at a recent RDC meeting following an incident at one of the secondary schools in the Mahaica-Berbice region. Here are the details.
Violence in school is increasingly becoming a challenge for those managing the education system, to the extent that those responsible for security have gotten involved and are also finding it challenging. Region 5 was considered one of the more peaceful regions as it relates to violence in school. However, this is no longer so. Lead counsel of the opposition coalition in Region 5, Emerson Benjamin, at a recent RDC meeting, highlighted the issue as he called on the education department to address school violence. Benjamin pointed out that the police were recently called into the Belladrum Secondary following instances in which the school could not handle students there. After the RDC meeting, the Evening News spoke with Benjamin.
On a first-hand thing, I would have witnessed myself because, a citizen or a friend of mine would have begged me on my way. That's when I was on work duty to go and collect some brother for her because of some gang fight. And that's in the Belladrum area, the school. And, I'm saying that we need to take a stern step or stand against these children because they got one particular student, and when asked about him, they would have said that he just come off from suspension. There's the fathers they can do that. The teacher said they can't do nothing about it anymore about him. He's known to the police, and my appeal is that we got to do something more than just suspend this child, because we can make one person or a group of students who would show no interest of want to learn to interrupt the entire school or to even give the region and the school such a bad name.
The councillor said that the police have been at the school on several occasions following reports of violent activity.
And if he's already known character to the police, all I'm saying is going to push someone to retaliate. Maybe a parent, or some managers or even the teachers because they won't take chances with him. So this is what we need for they to just, put some farm system in these schools, not only Belgium but throughout, because we see what's happening throughout the country with schools now. And it's like, I don't know if this is an next pandemic is catching on.
Only recently, former education officer and now education specialist Olato Sam, while in Region 5, pointed out that research has shown that in instances where teachers and fathers are in constant contact, results in more discipline in a child's life. Commenting on the issue of violence in schools, Regional Education Officer Deolyn Lewis Clark said the department needs help in tackling the issue.
We need help at our schools with the rise in the violence. I've seen yesterday they did a random search at school. Parents search your kids' bags. Why are they going with a knife? A pliers, they're no electrician or no technician. Search their bags. It is bad to know every day we have to leave our desks to deal with violence at school. Kids shouldn't be fighting at that level. Stabbing each other, chopping each other. That is not for kids. Kids should be having a good time with their colleagues.
For the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
The Berbice Division of the Guyana Fire Service is taking fire prevention to communities in an attempt to reduce the possibilities of fires and to enhance the knowledge of communities in both Regions 5 and 6. Andrew Carmichael joins us again with this report.
Located on the fringe of New Amsterdam, Angais Avenue is considered a suburb and has been plagued with several social problems. There is a high rate of teenage pregnancy, unemployment, and school dropouts. While frequent fires is not something plaguing the community, the Berbice Fire Department nevertheless held an outreach there. Divisional Fire Officer Clive MacDonald explained that the main aim was to sensitize residents on fire safety measures. According to MacDonald, the department also took the opportunity to do topography.
In the firefighting fraternity, topography meaning that we're doing a geography of the area. In case of an emergency, where we can find open source, where is KPs and VPs, meaning vulnerable points and key points. So basically knowing your station ground. And we're doing a sensitization of to relatives on fire prevention and safety. Point to note that during that exercise, some persons did not even know the number of the Guyana Fire Service, which was a little bit alarming, but nevertheless, it was a very good venture and it bears some fruit.
Recently, a similar exercise was conducted at the New Amsterdam Hospital, and according to MacDonald, the main aim was to get first-hand knowledge of the facility so that in the event of a fire emergency, they will be aware of where the water source is. The Divisional Fire Chief added that the department did have some concerns, and these were raised with the Chief Executive Officer of the hospital. Meanwhile, MacDonald further disclosed that other community outreaches are planned across the Berbice regions. Why you chose Angais Avenue?
It isn't, there's no criteria or no reason why we choose, because there's many other areas. Because many a times persons just notify a service when there as distress signal is sent out. By they don't see this the fire service on another day, only when there is an emergency. So it's not a case where specifically we choose that area, but there's many other areas within Region 5 and 6 that we have planned and we're going walking through and doing sensitization.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
We will now take a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Sunday, June 26, 2022 at 2 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Sunday, June 26, 2022 at 15 hours 15 for a period of 1.5 hours.
Braffit-centered grassroots program a success. This and more coming up in the Sportscast sponsored by Macorp.
Moving, lifting, or bending, whatever the job, we at Sylvie's Variety Store have the right tools to make it happen. Pallet jacks and hand trucks for bonds and industrial sites, easy pickup and convenient maneuvers. Chain hoist from Roughneck and Northern Industrial, the perfect solution to lifting heavy objects. And then there's the 12-ton and 16-ton hydraulic pipe benders from 1/2 to 2 inch. We also stock the shop press machine from Northern Industrial. Sylvie's Variety Store stocks the tools to make it happen.
Get the right seal right now from Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc., your immediate SKF sealing solutions. The SKF Seal Jet Machine is capable of building seals from 5mm to 600mm in diameter in under 5 minutes. With technical support readily available, you can get a customized seal to suit virtually any industrial application, like buffer, rod, wiper, and piston seals. SKF Seal Jet Machine, now at Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc.